Hi everyone, that's Gianpaolo Lorusso speaking for a new edition of PPC World News, and here we have Byron Tassoni Resch with us. Hi, it's of course in virtual. Don't lose any time to and step to our news. The first one is on LinkedIn. And it's a nice recap of what you can test effectively in the platform. Nothing really new, but I think it's an interesting selection of strategies. As long as far as I can say, because I'm not really a strong specialist in LinkedIn, and I know also Byron is not your main focus on.
I haven't read any LinkedIn ads for a couple of years now, so it's a little bit past what I do day to day.
Yeah, for a while they succeeded to. It was the only platform they succeeded to do it worst. Every time they redesigned it, but now it's different. Now it's for lucky they inverted the trend, and the platform, even the user interface is getting better. First news on Google Ads. They are going to sunset gallery ads. I think to favor their new image extension beta. Again, they are testing it again because they did it so a couple of years ago, if I'm not wrong. What do you think about it? Did you have the occasion to test gallery ads, and what do you think about the image extensions?
Yeah, I mean, these image extensions is now Google's trying third time lucky to try and get images back into the SERP, and I ran gallery ads when it first came out in beta, and you know the big problem that we had or that we faced is when running complex accounts. Whenever Google comes out with new beta, they often aren't available via the API or scripts or any kind of like automation or bulk upload. So everything has to be done manually. So from our point of view, we gave it a try and we ran it on a few accounts, and the volume wasn't there. It looked like it was being throttled, and then even the performance wasn't there. So when you combine something that is manually intensive to do and doesn't deliver results, often you kind of stop there at that point. So it looks like Google hasn't found the kind of traction it was looking for, both from an advertiser's point of view or from a user's point of view. And from the advertiser's point of view, it must have meant that the results just weren't coming in for that kind of platform, for that kind of an ad extension. So they must have slowly, everyone has been slowing down on using it. So it'll be interesting to see what happens with these image extensions. I mean, it looks like Google's trying desperately to try and insert some sort of imagery into the SERPs. But yeah, so I haven't played around with the new image extensions, but it's going to be interesting to see what the results are.
Yeah, I completely agree on gallery ads. I've tried it only a couple of times, and without having so much different data from the rest of ads formats. So quite abandoned them.
I mean, they look very nice, and they've worked historically for automotive companies, and the ones that were coming up for travel companies look really nice. So from visually they look very good, but we don't know what the performance is for those specific verticals.
Okay, let's move to another piece of news. Here is on TikTok, which I only know which is the emerging new social. But actually, I found this article quite useful to understand if you need to test it or not, not actually to explain exactly, of course, how TikTok ads work. Have you had any occasion to to test them, or what is your opinion about it?
I mean, like, so in terms of social, I don't do much day to day in terms of social, but in terms of the volume of how TikTok is growing, I mean, obviously, I think most advertisers are going to be looking towards it at some time in the next kind of coming months. I heard recently that TikTok is developing their their own ad platform, so advertisers can go directly and just place ads like they do currently on Facebook and Instagram, and that has the potential to be huge. So if you just look at the volume of how quickly TikTok is growing, I imagine most brands will be on it at some point.
Yeah, yeah. And actually, yeah, Jack Pendergast says if you have something that is working already on TikTok, just go on with the with ads. That's the summaries of the article. Yeah, another post I completely agree with. Due to coronavirus, a lot of advertisers completely stopped their campaigns, but I don't think it's a good solution. Also because there is a lot less competition in several fields. So if you reduce your pay-per-click, your cost per click, and your budget at the minimum, you can maintain almost the same traffic, if not increase it, spending a lot less. And it's search, especially in search campaigns. People are searching for this thing. Of course, if you are in traveling sector, they are not going to reserve travel right now. But they are searching for it. So I think this is perfectly sense. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, certainly there's been loads of changes over performance over the last 8-9 weeks, depending on where you are in the world and when the pandemic hit us. Certainly over the accounts I've seen is, I mean, so first off, businesses that can't operate at the moment, makes perfect sense to shut it off and try and reserve some of their cash. But businesses where they can operate, so e-commerce companies or anything where the delivery is involved, the clients I've worked with certainly seen a reduction in CPCs. So it looks like there's either been competitors who have completely left the auction or have reduced their budgets. And that certainly has helped in terms of driving cheaper traffic towards the site. The thing that's interesting at the moment is the variance in the performance over the different verticals. So some people, some clients I've seen have absolutely had their best months in the last month. It's absolutely incredible to see the kind of performance that has been driven. And some of the clients are struggling with conversion rates. So this reduction in CPC is kind of evening out with a slight reduction in CVR. So you're seeing CPAs remains fairly steady, especially now over the last couple of weeks when things have normalized in the industries. But what this article talks about is like, don't necessarily panic, stop everything, have a look at the data that's coming through, and if you can make changes or reductions to maintain any kind of CPA, then do that first before shutting everything off.
Yeah, completely agree. And if you shut them off before, now it's time to open them again.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, like even in the last couple of weeks, we've seen performance steady out. There's been an increase in conversion rates, like CPAs are remaining steady. So I think definitely now's the time to get back on if you have paused in the past.
Okay, let's move to the next piece of news, newsfeed. Yeah, just to say that Facebook, as Google, has released a sort of repository of suggestions for e-commerce and retail advertisers. So yeah, it's just to signal this, to alert you on this issue, on this resources. Let's move to another one. One of the hottest topic of the last 6 months, of the last years, if responsive search ads are working better than expanded test ads or not. and the answer, in my opinion, I will ask yours afterwards, is that the answer is depends. It depends. I've found that when you have a lot of traffic, responsive search ads may likely be more effective. If the traffic is not so high, it's more unlikely it happens. And of course, you have to consider that bulk analysis of these performances take into account also poorly realized, poorly made responsive search ads, because doing right responsive search ads is more difficult than an expanded test ad, because you have to consider all the possible combinations of the elements. This sort of data, you have to be careful to consider it. What do you think about this struggle?
Yeah, I mean, the RSAs came into the industry with a huge amount of hype and belief that this was going to be the future of how text ads are going to be run, and I've been testing them literally since they've come on, and I've tested them with small accounts, large accounts, large scale tests across a lot of different data points, and the conclusion I have at the moment is that they are not necessarily better than ETAs, and in most cases, I haven't seen the type of performance gains that RSA have been promising. But that being said, I have seen cases where RSAs have performed better than ETAs, but not necessarily by the margin that Google have been saying they would perform better by. So I think when they were coming up, like, oh, this is going to be 15, 20% better than ETAs, and you're going to get so much more efficient traffic, and the conversion rates are going to go up across the board, and that just hasn't been the case across all verticals. And even in this article here, you can see one vertical, one account has done better than the other ones, and like you said, they're probably going to work better in the situation where the account structure lends itself to sending a lot of traffic to a particular RSA, so it can work out exactly what combinations are working best for what type of user. Now, that being said, even the results have been 50-50 for the test that I've seen. I'm still running the main accounts, so they haven't left the structure that I usually set up. It just means that there's more work to be done in terms of how Google uses RSAs, and potentially for smaller advertisers, it's not going to be the magic bullet that has been promised in the past.
Anyway, it's I think I've said it several times, but I think it's worth saying it is. If you're not sure, it's better to test both in the same moment, just to let the platform have the reference point in terms of ads before swiping them and putting this new format alone going around on your own. Okay, let's move. Here is the Italian version, because of course he knows I am Italian. Non mi ricordo più. I can't remember what's the language, the language code for the page, but it's not a problem, because actually, besides the language, the link is correct. HL, yeah, that's it. Okay, here is it. Here is the repository of resources I was recalling before, with a business guide, a sort of same work Facebook did for his own advertisers. Have you looked at something of these resources? I got a glance to the business guide, and I found it interesting in some sections. Have you had the occasion to have a look to some of this?
I haven't looked at it. I've spent most of the time looking through the search section of their recommendations. I mean, it's recommendations in typical Google fashion. Essentially, the majority of it is leverage more of their automation products. So make sure you run RSAs, make sure you run DSA campaigns, make sure you are opted into smart bidding, make sure you have discovery ads running. Like, it's just everything around.
Make sure you put more budget.
Yeah, so it's funny reading that from Google's point of view, and then talking to other people who are in the industry, especially like paid search managers, who are saying that actually at the moment, with all the volatility that's going on with conversion rates, they're going back to what they were doing 3-4 years ago, which is relying on more eCPC strategies or manual CPC strategies to take back a bit more control. And Google's saying actually no. Lean into automation strategies even more now than you were before. So I'm not sure how that's going to fit with the general kind of search population, but still nice that Google puts up this content. It's just I think everything has to be taken with a pinch of salt.
Yeah, especially some checklists are quite useful. Okay. The last news for this edition. Yeah, it's quite a new one. I found it today. It's an interesting segmentation case study, not only on keywords, but on genders and age data, so demographic segmentation. It's an interesting read. What do you think about it?
I mean, certainly is very interesting. There's a couple of things that kind of stood out immediately, which was demographic targeting from Google is a weak point of theirs. They don't have a huge amount of demographic information, especially in terms of getting accurate, good volume amount of data. So segmenting by ages and gender is certainly an interesting way to go. The performance is certainly very good. The time frames are interesting. I mean, it looks like it's straight in the middle of the lockdown that occurred in America and Canada. So I don't know if that would have had an impact on the reduction of overall costs. It could have. And also, you don't necessarily know what other changes have happened within the account. From kind of Google's point of view, they would always tend to say not to segment by demographic information and rather lean on smart bidding to do that for you, to try and target users who are more likely to convert. But certainly very interesting. I've done segmentation not on a demographic but on an audience basis previously, and not to this level of segmenting the entire account. And it's certainly interesting to see what's going to happen. But it would be useful to have a bit more information on the back end of what else has been done within this account.
Of course, it has to, as a reason to be made when you have very granular information on what is working on your campaigns, what is working on males and females, and in several age groups. For instance, in the fashion industry, it could be quite useful, but there are a lot of other industries which of course would be probably damaged by so a granular segmentation. But I think if you have an e-commerce store in clothes, it could be interesting if you have reliable information about what who is liking what.
Yeah, I mean, certainly super interesting test. I mean, a lot of the tests that I tend to tend to like or be more interested in is this type of test. So account structure tests versus just straight up ad copy tests. Like this is very interesting stuff, and I'm sure that the team behind this is going to continue working on this and come up with some interesting stuff.
Yeah, also because between the lines you can understand that they are doing it quite often. So it came as a sort of substitution of skags and other forms of segmentations with which now are quite overcome by the new functionalities, new machine learning functions of the platform. Okay, thank you, Byron. It's been a pleasure to have you, and we'll see you at the next ADworld Experience.
Yeah, excellent. Looking forward to it. Thank you for having me on.
Hi, guys.